Hello, and welcome to Durham Cathedral's online Quiet Day. My name is Catherine. I'm an SSM priest licensed to the churches in Norton. I'm one of two Durham Diocesan environmental champions, the other being Reverend Dana Lindley, who's priest in charge of two churches in Gateshead Deanery. We heard this morning from Brother Clark as he reflected on St. Francis and creation and the climate crisis. Moving on from this, we'll now take a short look at some of the theological reasons why caring for creation and the environment is important. Firstly, God created it all. He spreads out the northern skies over empty space. He suspends the earth over nothing. He wraps up the waters in the clouds, yet the clouds do not burst under their weight. He covers the face of the full moon, spreading his clouds over it. The pillars of the heavens quake, aghast at his rebuke. By his power he churned up the sea. By his breath the skies become fair. And these are but the outer fringe of his works. How faint the whisper we hear of him. How then can we understand the thunder of his power? Words from Job, and just one of many descriptive passages in the Bible relating to the way God created our world. I don't know if you have ever made anything. I am useless at any form of art, but I love creating things. I always say I'm crafty rather than arty. But however our creations turn out, we unavoidably put something of ourselves into them. We put more than our time into it. There is something much deeper goes into them. We get this from our Creator, God Himself, who puts something of Himself in each of us. God is love, and creation is the overflow of that love. A wise man once said, "Love wants to share the joy." So God creates, that others may share God's goodness, love, and life. In Romans we read, "Ever since the creation of the world, His eternal power and divine nature, invisible though they are, have been understood and seen through the things He has made." God created every part of our world, and He saw that it was very good. The earth is tilted at just the right angle to allow for changing seasons and maximum habitability. Trees and plants clear the air. The sun draws the moisture from the earth, and fresh water is created through rainfall. All animals rely on nature and each other to provide life. Everything was created in such a way that it works carefully together. As we heard earlier, St. Francis' care for the poor in the world grew out of his love for God and the belief that we all share a common origin. Everything is created by God, and God created a perfect world, a place that He could share, not only with animals, but with those He created in His own image. In Genesis, we read, "Then the Lord God formed the man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature." But things didn't go according to plan. Man, woman, humankind, however you want to refer to us as a group, wanted more. We want the power that God displayed for ourselves, and the beauty of creation is marred. But God didn't give up on His creation. He didn't throw it to one side and start again. We have our salvation in Jesus, and out of His love for us and our love for Him, we are called to live in unity with all people and the whole of creation. In Revelation, we get a picture of a new heaven and a new earth, but until then, we have to care for the world we have and look carefully at how we are living. So God gave a mandate. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. In these verses from Genesis, God is handing over power of his creation to humankind. The words used here are very domineering. Subdue the earth. Rule over every living creature that moves on the ground. Words like this can easily be taken to mean we have the right to do whatever we want. But if God created out of love and gave his creation to us as a gift, is this the right way to read this? What do you do if somebody gives you a gift? Do you just discard it, or do you treasure it? What do you do if that gift has been given to you by God? Rather than talking about ruling over, the Message version puts it a bit differently. Take charge. Be responsible for fish in the sea and birds in the air. Being responsible for something is to care for it, to watch over it, not to exploit it. Rather than seeing our relationship to the earth as having dominion over it, we should think more of having stewardship of it. Psalm 24 states, "The earth is the Lord's and all that is in it, the world and those who live in it." If, then, God loved the earth into being, how is that understanding informing how we treat the earth? If the earth is the Lord's, not ours, then all those things we deem to be ours, to have or to keep, actually come from God in the first place. Everything is then held on trust, so we are stewards, not owners. Stewardship or care for the environment is a care for creation which only exists because God so loved the world that he created it from nothing in the first place, and then loved the world so much he gave himself to save it. In our desire for power over all things, we have created a society that is destroying our environment. In our greed and impatience, we pollute our seas and rivers. We destroy natural environments through unsustainable approaches to logging, farming, meat production, fishing, and mining. We're overheating the atmosphere through our CO2 production. If we look at creation, then we should see God. If we look upon our world as a gift from God, then our whole outlook should change. The problems we have created are huge and completely overwhelming. But in the words of St. Francis, small actions, small things, can make a big difference. Eeyore echoed these words when he said, "A little consideration, a little thought for others, makes all the difference." We can't fix everything, not at once anyway, but we can start to make a difference in small ways. A little thought into what happens in church can make a big difference to our communities as well as the environment. So what can we do? Maybe we first need to ask ourselves what we believe. Do we believe that this world is a gift from God and something we need to treasure? Do we need to look deeper into how much we depend on the natural balance of climate, nature, and our place in the world? Do we need to seek God more in creation, seeing his image, his handiwork in the trees, the flowers, the birds, the stars in the night sky? And as we come to realise our small part in this huge creation, we also need to acknowledge how our actions can have a huge impact on the environment and people of other countries. St. Francis had a heart for the poor, so we need to follow his example and look to see how we can have a positive impact on the lives of all who are struggling to feed their families or provide a safe home, for all who are struggling just to exist, in order to allow them to also live in the joy of creation. Remember Eeyore, a little consideration, a little thought for others makes all the difference. What small change can you make today which will have an impact on the lives of others? I'll finish with some words from Psalm 96. Let the heavens be glad, and let the earth rejoice. Let the sea roar and all that fills it. Let the fields exult and everything in it. Then shall all the trees of the forest sing for joy. Let's look for God in the whole of creation, and let us care for the wonderful gift which He has given to us. Thank you for joining us on this quiet day. We look forward to seeing you at Evensong, which will be live streamed at 5:30 p.m. Thank you.